Now to tonight's special report and the life-saving lessons from previous bushfire disasters that experts have no doubt saved lives this summer. One is a much more effective emergency warning system, giving people in harm's way specific and early advice to leave if required. It was just one of the recommendations from the Royal Commission into Victoria's Black Saturday fires that killed 173 people. But other recommendations 10 years on from that disaster still haven't been fully implemented, and lessons from other inquiries have been ignored altogether. Norman Homont reports.
11 years ago, the Black Saturday bushfires swept through the Cathedral Ranges about 2 hours from Melbourne. Amazingly, this house survived, but when it was sold 2 years ago, the new owners weren't taking any chances.
So this is an accredited private bunker, and this can hold up to 12 people. So it's built into the ground, covered by earth, and is a private refuge that people can escape to as a last resort in a bushfire.
Numerous bushfire inquiries have recommended the construction of personal fire bunkers in vulnerable areas, but there are still only about 1,000 accredited examples across Australia for an estimated 1 million addresses at high risk.
We're not seeing enough. There's just not enough out there, and our policies and incentives aren't there for people. A lot of people don't even know they exist.
Initially we had strawberries in this hole. There were 12,000 strawberry plants on the whole building.
This house backed onto the bush, so the build was carefully considered.
And the amazing thing about it is a lot of these materials are very bushfire resilient. So we've got sort of radiant heat shields on the outside of this house made from recycled brick. It couldn't be a better material to use in this format.
The Bushfire Building Council has developed a system to rate houses in vulnerable areas. This home is one of the few with a high bushfire rating.
We really have an entire building stock in this country that isn't resilient enough for today's bushfires, let alone what we're going to face in the future.
But many experts agree this bushfire season shows some important lessons have been learned. The death toll, while terrible, remains a fraction of what it was for the Black Saturday fires that killed 173 people.
There's no doubt that the warning systems across Australia are a marked improvement from where we were in 2009.
Victoria's former Emergency Management Commissioner, Craig Lapsley, helped lead the response during Black Saturday. He says there's now a national warning system, and unlike previous stay or go advice, emergency evacuation orders are more specific and issued earlier.
There's also an emergency warning and an evacuate now warning for Combined Bar.
And crucially, technology has made it much easier to issue alerts and for communities to see where bushfires are burning.
Use of apps, websites has been one of the most changing and most important things to get information to the community. And the most important thing out of that is to give information that is timely, relevant and tailored so community members can make decisions about their safety.
Well, we've got the issue of radiation coming from the burning dead vegetation.
This expert says despite more than 50 bushfire inquiries across Australia, some lessons still haven't been learned.
Is it time to recognize there are parts of this country that we should not be living in?
Yeah, I think so, and it needs to be consistent across states. So we need to get together at a national level to make sure that the criteria that are used are consistent.
Over the years, various inquiries have recommended governments identify properties which are unable to be defended and buy them back from owners. But that almost never happens. And the current rebuild policy is described by some as madness.
Madness almost is a let-out. I think I'd say it's culpable. It's sort of knowingly doing the wrong thing. I think it's worse than madness in the sense that we're making decisions that we know are potentially going to have damaging effects down the line in perhaps 10, 20, 30 years' time.
Most experts agree bushfires are only going to get worse. And that means a wholesale change in how we think and stay alive in bushfires. Norman Hermont, ABC News.